So do y'all need me to go through every one of them? I'm guessing probably just go.
Yeah, just
Okay. So the first ones on the first page use the Pythagorean theorem. All right. So that is what? What is the Pythagorean theorem?
6 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared.
Yeah, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? So all that matters is that the hypotenuse is c. The hypotenuse goes by itself. So this one is 6 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. Does everybody understand that? This is the hypotenuse. I don't know it. What is 6 squared?
36.
And what is 8 squared?
34. 64.
And then if I add those together, 100 equals c squared, but that's not c. What do I have to do to solve for c? Square root it. When I square root 100, it's 10, and square root c, and it's c. I mean square root c squared, and it's c. So your answer was A. Okay? Everybody good with that one? We've gone over a lot of these already, haven't we?
Yeah, I've been on this chapter for ages.
I know. Alright, then the next one, same thing. Is it a Pythagorean triple? So if I plug them in for my A, B, and C, do I end up with whole numbers, not decimals? And yes, I would. If I did 3 squared plus 4 squared, would it equal 5 squared? Yes, it would. Okay, 9 plus 16 is 25. So this one, it's C. D is not even an option, okay?
It's broken.
All right, are we good with that? Okay. The next one. Number 3. Same thing. This one, though, notice we're going to end up with some square roots, okay, which I know some of you aren't as familiar with, but we've got to get better at it. So I have a squared plus b squared, and then I don't know my hypotenuse. So I've got 10 squared plus 14 squared equals c squared. What's 10 squared? What's 14 squared?
196.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's 296
I've written it down.
equals c squared. But how do I solve for c?
You square root it.
Square root it. So if I do that, there's different ways I can think of it. Square root of 296 is not an option, okay? Which I can tell it's not going to be the square root of 206. That doesn't make sense. The square root of 26, like none of these make sense except for D, to me, just by looking at it. Guess what you can do? You can type that in your calculator, the square root of 296, and see what decimal it equals. You can then type each of these in the calculator and see what number they equal. And guess what it's going to tell you? Those two are the same thing. Okay? Because this one may not be as easy to simplify. I'll say it again. Like if I type in the square root of 296. So the square root of 296. It's 17.2 . Okay? Now, let me compare theirs. What is their first one?
26.
The square root of 26, which some of you can tell. Ooh, I didn't mean to do that. The square root of 26. Does that equal? Is that the same? No, so that's not my answer. If I type in the square root of 206, that's not my answer. What is 2 square root of 74? 2 square root of 74. I'm just showing you a way that you can check. Does that match?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So there's a way, like if you get confused on square roots, because that's kind of a big number, and we're going to practice square roots eventually, okay? But if you didn't know that, then you can just compare their decimals. Does that make sense? Yes, no? Okay. To me, I think that's an easier way to do it. All right. Can I erase? Now, number...
I don't get that.
Okay, it's distance formula. Well, I don't know why this is in this chapter because I don't remember doing distance in this chapter at all, but it is in here. So we'll just go over the problem. Let me write down.
I think for sure it's going to be on our test.
I haven't made y'all's test yet. I've
Is
got.
it plus or minus in the decimal formula?
Well, there's some of both. So hold on, let me show you. D is the square root of, I'll do x minus x squared plus y minus y squared. So see, like you're subtracting your x values and squaring them, subtract your y values and square them, and then add the two numbers. Square. So on this one, what are my y values? I mean my x values. I'll start with x. So 6 and negative 7. So she's going to put 6 minus negative 7. I'll fix that in a second. And what are my y values? Same order. 4 minus 8. So look at your x's and y's, your ordered pairs, and make sure you understand where we got those from. Does everybody understand? Yes? So if I just do what that says, what is 6 plus 7? 13 squared. And what is 4 minus 8? Negative 4 squared. Okay? What is 13 squared? And what is 4 squared? 16. So you could have typed it in your calculator earlier. So the square root of, and you could even type that in, 196 plus 16. What is that? 185? Or I got...
Wait, 116. Oh, I put 196, sorry.
Okay, I was going to say, I got B. I got like 13.6. Let's see. Yeah, I got 13.6. So if you look at your answer choices, that would match the one that's 14. That would be B. Are we good with that?
Wait, can you go?
Yeah. So it's just a distance formula. Y'all, if it's on there, I'll put the distance formula on the board, okay? I'm going to put all the 45, 45, 90, 30, 60, 90. Anybody still writing it? We're good? Okay, number 5, they give us these 3 links, and they want us to know if it's acute, obtuse, or a right triangle. So let me start with my hypotenuse. Which one's the hypotenuse? 37, because it's the biggest one. And I need to see if it's equal, greater, or less than, right? If it's equal to it, it's a right triangle. If it's greater, it's what? Obtuse. And if it's less than, it's acute. So let me just figure out all this. Like I would just type in, what is 37 squared? And I get 1369. I don't know if it's what it is. And then I'm going to type in 12 squared plus 35 squared. And I get 1369. So what do we know about those? They're equal, so it's a right triangle. Okay?
Wait.
Yeah. If they're equal, it's a right triangle. If the hypotenuse was greater, it is obtuse. And if the hypotenuse was less than, it's acute.
So you did 144 plus.
Yeah, I just typed in 12 squared plus 35 squared, and it gave me that. And then they were equal. Are we good with that one?
Yes, I remember that.
Okay. Did I go over this with y'all? No, I didn't. Okay. I think it was just because I did Friday with people, so it feels like I've done this. Okay.
Who was all here Friday?
I think it was only like 3 or 4 in each class.
Wow.
Now, a bunch of my seniors came, though, for college algebra. Or I say a bunch, like half of them. Okay, can we move on? We're good? All right, this one, I do really like this one, so I would imagine this one's going to be on there. Does everybody see my 2 white triangles? The gray shaded area is not a triangle, so we can't really get a lot of information from that, but we can get information from the 2 white triangles. So that's what I'm going to work on. First one I'm going to use is the one that's my shortcut. It will be the same way on the test, okay? There's going to be one, it's a Pythagorean triple. If this side is 3 squares right here. 1, 2, 3. Does everybody see that that's a 3? And this is a 1, 2, 3, 4. Then what's the hypotenuse? 5. Because we know a 3, 4, 5 triangle without any of the work. That's why those exist. That's why people learn about Pythagorean triples. There's shortcuts that you can use. Okay. So that's the first one. Now let's look at this other triangle. All right, what are the sides here? This one is 1, 2, 3. Does everybody see that? And this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Does everybody see that? So I'm going to find my hypotenuse. Yes? How do you find the hypotenuse?
3 squared plus 7 squared.
Yeah. A squared plus B squared equals your, but y'all can't see that. Hypotenuse squared. I'm going to change it to black, sorry. So 3 squared plus 7 squared equals C squared. Is everybody okay with that? We counted. You can't count diagonals, but you can count the straight sides. That was 3, that was 7. I'm going to find my diagonal. I know it's bigger than 7 because it's the longest side, okay? But I don't know what it is. So what is 3 squared? 9. And what is 7 squared?
49.
49. And it equals C squared. What is 9 plus 49? 58. So 58 equals C squared. How would I just find C? Square root of 58. So I need to find out what is that number. Like, can somebody?
7.6.
7.6. Is that what you said? 7.6. Okay. So does everybody see that I have this diagonal, the 5, and I have this diagonal, the 7.6, right? And then what's this amount right here on this side? 1. And what's this amount? 1, 2, 3, 4. Does everybody see that? When they're straight edges, you can count the squares. When it's at a slanted line like that, you can't just count, okay? So what is 1 plus 4 plus 5 plus 7.6?
17.6.
17.6. That one's a lot of work, I know. It'll be very similar on the
Wait,
test.
what do you add up to get 17.6?
The perimeter of the gray shaded area. So it was this
So
side.
add around it. So just 5, 4, 1, 7.6.
Just added those
How
four
did you
numbers.
get the 5?
The 5, we knew that this was 3 squares. We knew this was 4 squares. And then we had to find this. I knew it was going to be bigger than 4. But you can do A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Or we knew from page 1 that the Pythagorean triple, 3, 4, 5.
So why wouldn't it be 7 right there on that other part? Not the 7.6, the one under it.
This one,
No, but where the 5 is at.
the one that's what?
Where the 5 is at.
This right here,
Yes, ma'am.
that's 5. Because this triangle right here, let me draw it in purple. This triangle right here is 3, 4, and what was the slant? A 3, 4, 5. This is a totally different triangle. Its sides are 3 and 7, and I had to find it. And I knew it had to be bigger than 7. And this one, I knew it had to be bigger than 4. Like, because you're always looking for the longest side if you're looking for the hypotenuse. Okay? And you're just using A squared plus B squared equals C squared. But there will be one like that on it. Okay? Can I erase? Are we good? Kind of. You may just need to go back over that one tomorrow or Wednesday. Okay?
So who's going to be in here with us Wednesday?
I don't know yet.
Are you just going to let us review with each other?
Well, I'm going to give y'all a project to start. And I think there's like maybe, I can't remember, it's been a year since I've seen it, but maybe like 5 little word problems, which are like some on the test. It's basically a review. And then y'all can't do the outside stuff yet. And then you can just review your study guide together. Okay, now number 7. Notice we start having these angles, 45 degrees. So what would we use for this? We would use 45, 45, 90. It will be on the board. If it's not, it is on the board. Okay, so the hypotenuse, it says find the length of the hypotenuse. Can somebody tell me the formula?
Hypotenuse equals side square root.
Side square square root of 2. What is my side? 3 square root of 2, square root of 2. That means 3 square root of 2 times the square root of 2. Well, what is the square root of 2 times itself? 2. And what is 3 times 2?
6.
So your hypotenuse is 6. When you multiply by the square root of 2, it basically cancels out to 2. What would the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 be? Square root of 4 times the square root of 4? 4. When you multiply it times itself, the square root just goes away. So that's why it's just 3 times 2, which is 6. Okay? This one's the same, well no, it's same formula, but it's backwards. So I'm going to write my formula down. I'm still looking at a 45, 45, 90. So hypotenuse is the side times the square root of 2. This time, I don't know my side, or my leg, or whatever. This time, what do I know? The hypotenuse, okay? And it kind of tells you in the directions. You can look at the picture and tell, or just read. So I get 24 equals s square root of 2. How do you solve for s? Divide by the square root of 2. So those cancel out, that's great. And over here, I get 24 divided by the square root of 2. Yeah, you can't leave it like that. So look, I'm going to write it right here. 24 over the square root of 2. That is not simplest radical form. You can't have a radical in the denominator. Okay, you can't have a square root in the denominator ever. Okay, we'll have a whole chapter over just that in Algebra 2, over rational functions. So we're going to need to start getting used to that. To make the square root of 2 go away, think back to the previous problem. What makes the square root of 2 go away? When you multiply it times itself. So that's why we do that. Multiply, and what you do to the denominator, you have to do the same thing in the numerator, because it's kind of like it's canceled out. Okay? So up here, in the numerator, I have a 24 square root of 2. Is everybody okay with that? And then what's the square root of 2 times the square root of 2? And then now you just reduce it. It's basically a fraction that you can reduce. 24 divided by 2 is 12. There you go. All right. You basically just move your square root up and divide by that number that was under it. Like you'll see a pattern. Some of you can see it like that. And if not, that's fine. Just work it out and show every step. Okay, are we still writing that one? Some of us are writing? No? Everybody's got it? Okay. Alright, then next, let's see. Is it another one? Yep, still 45, 45, 90. It's like a whole page of them. On this one, isn't it the same thing? Yeah, you have the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse equals the side square root of 2, which they put an x this time. I don't care what variable you use. Okay, they have an x. So what do I do to solve for s? Or divide by the square root of 2. Same exact problem. Divide by the square root of 2. So can I leave it like that? Basically, you move the square root of 2 up and put a 2 underneath. Okay? So I'm going to multiply by the square root of 2 on each. So I get 5 square root of 2 over 2. That equals my s. Can I reduce that one? No, like the last one was 24 divided by 2. I could reduce that. 5 over 2, it can't be reduced. Okay? We have a lot of problems, don't we? Mm-hmm. I hope I can get through them. How do we feel on that? We feel good? Are we still writing? Yeah, some of you are. It's fine. Take your time. Everybody has it? I think. Yeah? Okay. If not, just say something. Okay, number 10. This one was really weird. I noticed several people missed it when I was kind of looking over your study guide. I just gave you points for doing it. I didn't check right or wrong, okay? That's what you're doing now. So on this one, it says the area of a square garden is 98 meters squared. So let me draw a square, and it wants me to find the diagonal. That was helpful. Let's try it again. That was a little bit better. Okay, wants me to find the diagonal. So to find the sides of it, I would just square root 98. Okay, what's the square root of 98? Anybody? 9.9? Okay, square root of 98, I get like 9.9. Those are my sides. It's backwards because if I was to find the area, what would I do? 9.8 times 9.8, which would be 98. All right? How do you find the hypotenuse of the 45, 45, 90? Because I know this is 90
Plug in
degrees.
your side.
Huh?
Plug in your side.
Yeah, plug in your side. So it's 9.9 times the square root of what? 2. And if you do that, what's 9.9 times the square root of 2? 14. There you go. That one was kind of weird, I know.
Is that gonna be the test?
I don't know. I don't know yet. If some of y'all want on Wednesday, I might can try and make a little review that looks similar to the test. That's basically what I'll probably do for those that haven't turned in the study guide as well. So that's what they'll do and turn that in. Okay? So, but I can make that for everybody. And then you'll know if it's on the test. Okay.
So we're getting our, we'll get to turn in tomorrow.
Huh?
So I get what I need to turn in tomorrow.
You'll need to turn it in by Thursday. I'll give you until Thursday to turn it in. I don't know when I can print it. I'm hoping I can print it at school today, but if not, I'll have to print it at home.
Because I haven't done anything on this today. I've just done, I only got to problem Thursday.
Okay.
15 was good.
But make sure you're going over this because this is your study guide. Okay. Now, we're moving on to 30, 60, 90. So you would now switch boxes or whatever when I have the formulas up to the 30, 60, 90. So this one, this is the hypotenuse, 10. X is the long side and 5 is the short side. Does everybody know how I know that? I'm just looking across from my angles. The 30 is the smallest, the 60 is the middle, the hypotenuse is the longest. Okay, that's how I know that. So, I'm looking for my long side. How do I find the long side on a 30, 60, 90?
You do know.
The long side is the short side times the square root of 3. Do I know the short side? I do. That's great. So I don't have to solve anything. It's just 5 square root of 3. That's it. Some of these you don't even have to solve them out. All you have to do is plug in a formula. That's it. That's all we did on that one. The next one we may have to solve some things out. Okay? Are we ready for the next one? So the next one, notice I have to find both the what? Hypotenuse and the what? Long side. Okay? On the next one, I have to find the hypotenuse and the long side. So the hypotenuse, what is my hypotenuse for my 30, 60, 90? Yeah, it's the short side times 2. What's 11 times 2? 22. Yes, and I used the letter H for my hypotenuse, but what did they use? So y is 22. So it looks like it's this answer right here, doesn't it? But let's make sure. Now, let's find the long side. What's the long side? The long side is 11 square root of 3. That one was just plugged in. That one we didn't really have to solve either. Okay? Are we doing good? Yes? Alright, moving on.
Wait, where do we get 11 from?
11, that one was the long leg is the short leg times the square root of 3. And I was trying to find the long leg. What is the short leg? 11 square root of 3. Okay, let's move on to 13. Let me draw a picture. I need another sheet of paper. Okay, number 13, it says, the conveyor belt carries supplies from the first floor to the second floor, which is 26 feet higher. So I'm just going to draw this. Here's my first floor. Here's my second floor. It's 26 feet higher. Is everybody good with that? Okay. The belt, there's my belt. Okay, it's going up that way. It says it makes a 60-degree angle with the ground. Okay. How far do the supplies travel from one end of the belt to the other? So it wants to know this right here. What is my 60-degree angle with the ground? So it would be what? This one right here or this one right here. Remember, those are the same. Is everybody good with that? That's my 60-degree angle with the ground. It's going up at a 60-degree angle. Are we? Yes, we're good. No, we're not. So then it says, so I've got this 26 feet high, okay? I'm trying to find the distance of this conveyor belt, and I know it's going at the 60-degree angle. It's going up. So how do you find it? Is this sine? Is this cosine? Is it tangent?
You're looking for the hypotenuse.
You're looking for the hypotenuse. Yes.
Tangent.
It's going to be the sine of 60 equals opposite over hypotenuse. So I'm going to write that down. The sine of 60 equals, oh, or you could have done a 30, 60, 90. I didn't even think of that.
That's what I thought we were still on.
Yeah, it is. I just got ahead of myself. Do y'all want me to do the 30, 60, 90?
Yeah,
Is this going to be on the test?
the rest of the pages.
I don't know if this one's on the test. I mean, but you can do either one. Let me just finish it this way, and then I will do the 30, 60, 90, because I've already started this way. The sine of 60 equals 26 over, we don't know. Then what would you do? Switch them and divide. I can't believe I got ahead of myself. And I would get, did we?
30.
Yeah, 30 degrees. Is that what they got? Yeah. No, I mean, not degrees, sorry. 30 feet. 30 feet. Okay. Had I done the 30, 60, 90, if you're looking for the hypotenuse, what is it? Oh, well, you would have to find the short leg. And then you would have to do that. What way do y'all like better? I know.
Wait,
I'm so confused.
I don't like any what the difference is.
And honestly, let me see on the 45, 45, 90s if, I'm thinking you can do it on any of them.
So
This
the
one's
answer's
got me
30
so
feet.
stressed out. That's amazing.
The answer's 30 feet, yeah. So some of y'all did it doing a 30, 60, 90 This one? Yeah, this is way easier than the 30, 60, 90. That's why I saw the triangle and I just started doing SOHCAHTOA. When I saw
You'll
it.
do that on the test?
You can do that one on the test like that. It's actually way easier than the other way, I think.
I think this one's the only one I really don't understand. It's just so much.
Yeah.
Just draw your picture and do SOHCAHTOA. I think that might be the easiest way. Then it says, what if you had 70, what is it? Let me look. 75 feet a minute that the belt is moving. How long does it take the supplies to move to the second floor? You would just take 30 and divide it by 75. That's all you do on that one. 30 divided by 75 and yeah, so it's 0.4 minutes.
Is the answer?
Yeah, for that second part. I don't know that one's on there.
I don't know.
What, 4 minutes?
Yeah. A little less than half a minute. A little less than 30 seconds.
Why is it 30?
Why is it 30 feet?
How do you divide by 30?
Oh, because you're talking feet per minute. And then you're trying to find out how many minutes. So you've got feet. So you do feet on top, and then you just divide it by the feet per minute, and that's going to tell you. It's just like do you remember doing conversions, and it's kind of awful? That's what it's like. Yes. Okay. Now, y'all, I think everybody likes the next two problems, right? Those are great. We want like 10 of those on there. It's not going to happen. But how do you find number 14? Well, you can't divide. Second tangent, 65. And if you don't remember what that is, you press the yellow button and then your tangent. So that's really tangent inverse is what that means. Okay? So this tangent inverse, because you're trying to move the tangent. That's why. And you get 89.1 degree. Or, no, sorry, 0.12. They rounded to 2. 89.12 degrees. Okay? 15's the same way. Do we know how to do those? Yes. 15, when you're trying to find the angle, you have to press second that button and type in that number. I'll do number 15. So 15 is the sine. So you press the yellow second sine, that's sine inverse, and then you type in this number, 5 divided by 19. And that's going to tell me it's 15.26. There it is, D. Those are both D. All right, the reason you have to do the inverse is because you're moving that sine function. So it's second whatever, or the tangent function, whatever it is. Okay, moving along. Number 16. Now you have to use SOHCAHTOA. So what are the ratios for the sine of x? That means and cosine of x. We've got to get two answers. So I'm going to write sine x, and then I'm just writing a ratio. That means a fraction. Sine of x equals, and what is, I'm going to start at x. I'm starting right here. What is the sine? It is opposite over hypotenuse. Yeah, so it's the square root of 119 over 12. Then we have to find what? Cosine of x. Don't forget your second one. Some of you forgot that on the study guide. So that one is adjacent over hypotenuse. That is 5 over 12. And then we're done with that. Okay? The next one's the same thing. We're going to do the tangent of P and the tangent of Q. So let me write that down. Tangent of P and the tangent of Q. Alright, so that means I start at P, and I don't know why they didn't reduce. If you reduce, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine. For some reason, they don't reduce. What's the tangent? Yeah? 16 over 12. Opposite over adjacent. I would have reduced, but they didn't. Yeah. Now, if you go to the opposite side, they're basically going to flip. The tangent of Q, now let me start here. Opposite over adjacent is 12 over 16. They're just flipped. And I'll leave that up there for a second. So y'all can write all those down.
I got those down. Those are easy.
Let's see. Oh my goodness. This class goes by so fast. To me. I'm hoping I can get several more done. Okay, can we keep going? It is on the video, because look, once class is over, I can't go over anymore. But you could always go back and watch the video and write it down. Okay? So I may need to pick up the speed just a little bit. All right? Because otherwise I won't be able to go over the last ones on your test.
At least this video won't be chaotic.
Okay, number
Before Bryson.
Number 18. Okay, well, let's not get anything started because it's been so peaceful. Okay, number 18. It says use a trig ratio to find x. So I'm going to start with my angle. Do I use sine, cosine, or tangent? Tangent. So the tangent of 40 degrees equals what? Yeah, opposite over adjacent. I'm just using SOHCAHTOA. That's 4 over x. And my calculator is about to do all the work for me, right? How do you know which one to use? You have to decide, like, what are you given? Are you given opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? Like, you just have to. So this one, if I start here, I'm given opposite and adjacent. That's how I know it's tangent. Okay, because of the TOA. Okay? Then, how do you solve for x? You just switch it. So we get x equals 4 divided by tangent of 40. I would just type it in my calculator. 4.8, so y'all get B. Do we understand? Yes? Okay?
Hold up.
Is it not written right?
What's wrong?
That should be the button.
Yeah, that's why I said tangent earlier.
Oh, because you're looking at that one. Alright, I gotta keep going, y'all, because y'all can always come back to the video and look at this,
I
okay?
just want to know the answer was to that because I have it already.
B. That should be.
B.
Thank you.
This one, again, we're looking from 30, so what is it gonna be? Opposite and adjacent, so that's tangent again, right? So tangent of 30 equals x divided by 10. But this one's different. Why?
You multiply tangent.
Yeah, to solve for x in this case, I'm not switching anything. I'm just going to multiply by 10. So when I type in 10 tangent of 30 in my calculator, it's going to tell me 5.8. Very close to the other one. So this one was 5.8. Okay? So y'all should have that one. Do we have that one down? Yes? Everybody's got it. Okay. Let's keep going. Number 20. Okay. Do I need to keep doing these or do you want me to move on to some other part? Or I guess
You're on some hard ones.
It's
that are
easy
actually
after
gonna
number
be able to
22.
start at 22. Okay. And I'll put the answers up at the very end. So for everything. For number 22, is y'all, if you want to, ignore the building and just look at this triangle right here. And it says, what is the height of the building? So I'm going to look for H. So if I start at 72, H is my opposite, and what's 100? My adjacent. So what uses opposite and adjacent? Tangent. So it's tangent of 72 equals opposite over adjacent. So how would I solve for H on this one? It's just like, yeah, just like the other one I did. I multiply by 100 on both sides. So if I type that in my calculator, for number 22, I get C.
Oh, wait a minute.
Did I not get that?
No, that's fine, but this is the way I look at it.
The tangent of 18 equals, oh, yeah, that's another way, same thing. Okay. Yeah, that works too. But you got the same answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh. Okay. Everybody good with that one? Can I keep going? I see some writing it down. Okay. What's the next one y'all want me to do? 23 maybe?
23.
23?
What's the answer say?
For what?
22
is C. Yes. Okay. 23. This one, it wants us to find W and X. So I'm only going to look right here at this little W triangle. How do I find W? Yeah, it's tangent again of 42 equals opposite over adjacent. How would I solve for W? Switch it. So I'm writing down here 12 over tangent of 42. So if somebody can type that in, what do y'all get for W?
13.32.
13.3. Okay, so I'm writing it right here. Does everybody agree that this purple part is 13.3? Okay, now this right here is not a right triangle that I can deal with. But I'm going to look at the whole triangle. Okay? So for the whole triangle, I'm going to use greens. The whole triangle. I'm just redrawing it. I know this is 12, and I know this is 27. How do I find, I'm gonna call this y. Okay, I put y because it's not the same as w and it's not the same as x. It's the whole thing.
Can you
So I'm gonna use tangent again
10 of 27.
of 27. I'm finding the whole thing. Tangent of 27 equals 12 over y. This is the whole long side, okay? So I get, if I switch them, 12 divided by tangent of 27. So 23.6 is that whole green size. 23.6. How do I find x?
you just subtract?
Yeah, if I know the whole thing, and then I know this piece, how do you find what's left over? You subtract, okay? So you're just going to do 23.6 minus 13.3, which is what?
10.3.
10.3. That's your answer on that. Okay, I can probably do a couple more. Are y'all writing that?
So x equals 10.3.
So yeah, you had to find W and then you had to find X. Do y'all know which one y'all want next?
25.
25?
What's 24 right quick?
The answer, or you want me to do it?
No, the answer.
B. 24 is B. Real quick, here's, I'm going to, while I erase, here's a few of them. There's like 24, 25, but, and I'll move it around.
What would you use for 24?
Let me look back at it.
Can I,
Which, y'all, this is on the video, or y'all can take a picture of this at the end of class if y'all want. Real quick, for 24, it's looking like tangent because of opposite over adjacent. Here, if you want a picture, and the video's still going, so I'll put it right up here in the video.
I'm going to take a picture of the one.
And y'all, do y'all want, I can spend a few minutes, since I don't have a class coming in, I'll finish up some problems on the video. So y'all can watch, I'll just pick some random ones, and then y'all can, if y'all need to watch them, y'all can do that on Wednesday. Do y'all want me to do that?
Yes,
Record, and then y'all can watch the rest of this on Wednesday. Okay. So there's all these problems. All right. So this is going to be awkward. Will y'all shut that door since I'm going to be just talking to myself in here? This is so weird. Oh, yeah. And there's 34 and 35. Here's these. Now 34 and 35. You can also look back in the video. But there's those answers. Oh, Bailey, I'm so glad you're here because I'm about to teach to a video so you can listen to me. Hey, will you shut that door, Michaela? Thank you. Okay. Or you can just ignore me. All right, so on number 24, let me get this piece of paper. It's tangent because of opposite and adjacent. So I would say the tangent of x equals opposite, which is 16, over adjacent, which is 7. And if you think about it, this looks exactly like the problems that y'all really like. I'm videoing. Thank you, Jackson. This looks exactly like the ones on number 14 and 15 that were so easy. All you have to do is press, since you're looking for the angle, the second button or the inverse button. So second tangent of 16 divided by 7, and it gives you 66.4. So your answer for number 24 is B, 66.4. No, so I'm making a video right now for my other students. It's okay. No, it's okay. Oh, yes, you can. I forgot that you didn't do that yet. Here you go. Wait, that's not it. There it is. And y'all, I'll get your grades in a little bit, but let me finish this video. Okay. Okay, that's fine. What's the description from angle 2? You are an angle of elevation because it's going up from the tower to the airplane.
What are we doing next month? I forgot.
It's news. We might review a little bit, and then we're going to do some news probably.
What are we doing for business management?
We are doing marketing. I'm going to go through the notes and the PowerPoint, and then probably start on y'all's project. So it's the angle of elevation from the tower to the airplane. So your answer is C. Huh? No, I don't. They haven't said that the copier works, I don't think. I'll go see this hour. Okay, number 26. On this one, I don't want to write on my paper. That was the last problem. So if you know that that's an angle of depression, then you know that this is also the same. And here's our x, and here's 500. Okay, so on this one, you'll just have to remember to move your 40 degrees here. And then you have to decide, is it sine, cosine, or tangent? So it's the sine of 40 because we're given opposite over hypotenuse. So I did sine of 40 equals opposite over the hypotenuse. And then I'm just going to switch them. So x equals 500 divided by the sine of 40. And I'm just going to type that in my calculator. So 500 divided by the sine of 40. And I get 777.8 or 0.9. It rounds up to 777.9. So that's what I would write for my answer. Okay, that's how many, oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. Meters, that's what I was looking for. What's my measurement? Meters. Okay. Now my next one, we're looking at a spotlight from a door and on a wall. So I'm going to draw my picture. It says that it is 7.4 feet. This is my desk. So 7.4 feet above a security desk. It's used to light an entrance. So it shines this way. Here's our entrance. And that's 9.3 feet from the desk. Makes a right angle. What's the angle of depression? So if I'm looking at the angle of depression, I'm going to call it D. What's the same thing as that? This is. So then we have to see what trig function is it. So it's opposite over adjacent. So that's tangent. The tangent of D equals opposite over adjacent. And again, when you're looking for your angle, it's like those other problems. You have to press second tangent or tangent inverse. So that's what I'm going to do. Tangent inverse, second tangent. And then I'm going to type in my numbers. 7.4 divided by 9.3. And I get 38.51. Let me see how they rounded. Oh, they rounded to 39. So 27 is A. All right. Now on the last few, we've got law of sines and law of cosines. So let me start with 28. And it says law of sines. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is draw my triangle. I know I have, what letters do they give me? A, B, and we'll just go with C. A, B, C. So I'll just draw me a little triangle. A, B, C. And it tells me that big A is 55. Big B is 44. Little b, that means it's across from there, is 68. And it wants me to find AB. Well, that's little c. That's what I'm going to call it. So I need to find this angle that goes with it. So I would just take 180 minus these two. So 180 minus 55 minus 44, and that angle is 81. So now I know all my angles. Then I would look at the board and see what is my law of sines formula. So it's the sine of my angle. I'm going to start with angle B. And you put it over the side that goes with it, 68. And what's the next one that I have? We're looking at our C's. So the sine of 81 over little c. And then we cross multiply. So I get C sine of 44 equals 68 sine of 81. And then I'm solving for little c. So I've got to move this sine 44 because that's just a number on my calculator. So I'm just going to divide by that number, whatever it is. And it would tell me C. So this is how I enter mine. So I'm looking up here. I'm going to type in 68 sine of 81. And I always like to go ahead and see what that answer is. Okay, I got that. And then I'm dividing it now by the sine of 44. And there's other ways to type it in, but that's how I type mine in. And I get 96.68. So that answer is B. 28 is B. 96.68. And then 29 is not going to be on there. 30, we're again using law of sines. Here's number 30. So I get...
Miss Beverly said thank you.
Oh.
And she has some more or something. I don't know, but there's something.
All right, thanks. So I'm going to draw triangle ABC. And so little c is 83, so that goes out here. Little a is 44. It goes across from angle A. Angle A is 31. And they want me to find the measure of angle B. This one's the one I don't know, but that's not the one that I can find. I have to find angle C because it's what goes together, right? You're looking at the angle and the side across. So let me just start with C. I'm going to find C. What does it go with? 83 is across from it. Then I've got the sine of A, 31. What does it go with? 44 is across from it. And then we cross multiply. So 44 goes with my sine C. 83 goes with my sine of 31. Now I'm solving for C, so all that's together. So I'm going to divide by that 44. Divide by 44. So the sine of C equals, and let me see what I get. I do the 83 sine of 31, and then I divide it by 44, and I'm going to get this long number. I'm going to get 0.971549, and it just keeps going, okay? But if I'm looking for the angle, right, this is like those other problems, you have to do the inverse or second sine. So I'm going to type in my calculator second sine, and I'm going to type in several of those numbers. I'm making a video for another class. Sorry. And I get 76.3. Okay, I'm not sure how they're rounded, so I'll just go to one decimal, 76.3. But now the trick on this one is, I wrote it down for C. We're not looking for A, we're not looking for C, but we're looking for B. So the way to find that is we take 180 and subtract those two. So 180 minus 76.3 minus 31, and it's 72.7. And that's what they rounded to. So angle B, 72.7 degrees. They put the measure of angle B. So that's number 30. All right. 31. For 31, let's see. We've got the measure of angle B is what we're trying to find. I'll draw their triangle so I have room. So I have B, C, A is 38 degrees. This is 74. This is 50, and it wants me to find angle B. But again, I can't find that first because A, I'm good, and then I have information for C. So C, again, is what I have to find first, which I'm only going to put one of these on there, but I'll go ahead and go over them. So sine of C, and 74 goes with it. The sine of 38 and 50 goes with it. Cross multiply. 50 sine of C, 74 sine of 38. And again, it's just like the other one. I'm trying to find angle C. So that stays together. I must divide by 50. So all this is divided by 50. And then if I'm trying to find my angle, the only way to move the sign is to press that second sign. But let me find this number. So I'm going to type in 74 sine of 38. And then I'll divide it by 50. And I always get a small decimal.
What's the fraction for 0.607?
Did you press math and enter?
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't give you one? Hold on just a second. Let me finish this problem and then I'll go over it. Okay, so then that is the decimal. That is sine of C equals that. So I have to press second sine and type that number in. Several decimal places. And I get 65.7 degrees. Now, that is angle C. Is that what they wanted? No. So I'm going to take 180 and subtract those two angles. Minus 65.7 minus 38, and I get 76.3. So that's why number 31 is B. Angle B is 76.3 degrees. Okay, C was 65.7. You just have to make sure you're finding what they're asking for. Okay, now we're going to switch gears and do law of cosines. Hold on, Emily, let me help you on yours real quick. What is it?
This one, number 12.
So you did 3x log 81 equals log of 9, and then you divided by,
3 log 81.
let me make sure, let's see, log, oh, probably because when you do log of 9 divided by, all this goes in the denominator, 3 log, where's log, I lost it, 81. Okay, all that goes in the denominator. So I get,
Okay.
does that make sense? I think you forgot to put the parentheses in the denominator. Okay. All right, now number 32, law of cosines. So I'm not going to draw a picture. You'll just kind of have to look for your formula. On this one, it's trying to find the measure of f. That's a side because it's lowercase f. So I know I've got f squared. What goes on the other side are my other two lowercase letters. The g is 5 squared, plus my h is 22 squared, minus 2bc, the 5 and the 22 again, times the cosine, because we're in law of cosines, and angle f goes with that. And they told me it was 50. So what's great about this problem is I can type all that in, and it gives me f squared. However, it does not give me f. I'm still going to have to find f. But let me type it in. I'm going to do 5 squared plus 22 squared. You can type it either way. Minus 2 times 5 times 22 cosine 50. And I get 367 point, I'm just going to type in a few, 587. Okay, but that's f squared. So then I have to square root it. So if I square root that number, I get 19.17, so it's just 19. So 32 is C. They just get 19 when I took the square root of that number. Okay, so that's 32, law of cosines. Now number 33 wants us to find an angle, so it's a little bit harder. last law of cosines. All right, so on 33, it says find angle B. Since I'm finding angle B, side B must go by itself. And our side B is 12. If you look at it in your problem, little b is 12. It goes by itself because I'm trying to find angle B. Now we just put our other two sides. What is it? Skip it and come back to it. Let me finish this one and then I'll come help you, okay? So my other two sides are 11 and 17 minus 2bc, 11 times 17, times the cosine of big B. That's what I'm trying to find. So this one's a little bit harder. I'm going to find 12 squared, 144. Then I'm going to find this. So I'm going to type it in my calculator. 11 squared plus 17 squared. That is 410 minus, let me find 2 times 11 times 17, 374. And then next to what I'm trying to find. So we have to move our 410, and then we have to move this number. So I'm going to subtract 410. So 144 minus 410, I get negative 266 equals negative 374 cosine of B. Then I must divide by negative 374. I'm working my way slowly to get B by itself. Divide by negative 374. And I get 0.7, and we always get a decimal like this, equals the cosine of B. But we're trying to find angle B. So I must press second cosine and type in that number, 0.7112299. And I get 44.7 equals angle B. So that is number 33, 44.7 degrees. All right, then number 34, we did one like this earlier. It says you have a triangle and it gives us three side lengths, 7, 10, and 15. And it wants to know if it's acute, obtuse, or right. So you start with the hypotenuse, the biggest number, 15 squared, and we're trying to see what it's going to be. So I add 7 squared and 10 squared over here. So 15 squared is 225. And if I add 7 squared and 10 squared, I get 149. So I know that 225 is bigger than 149. I'm recording for another class. So it's an obtuse triangle. Remember, if it was equal, if it was equal, it would have been a right triangle, and if it was less than, it would have been acute. Okay, so on this one it says describe angle 4. So, and it tells me this is the top of a tall building. So angle 4 is the angle of elevation from mark to the top of the tall building. Angle 3 is an angle of depression from the tall building to John. That's all it is. That's all you're saying on those. I'm trying to see if I skipped over some other ones real quick that y'all might have wanted me to go over. I think it was on this page. I think I skipped 21. So I'll just go over 21. That may be the only one that I didn't do today. So let me just go over it and then I'll finish with it. 21, it's X. I've got a hypotenuse and I've got 35 degrees. So I'm looking at opposite and hypotenuse. So by now you should know that's the sine of 35 equals opposite over hypotenuse. So on this one, I need to solve for x. So I would multiply by 4.1. And I just type that in my calculator. 4.1 times the sine of 35 and it's 2.35 or whatever. So for 21, my answer, let's see, what does it say? To the nearest tenth. So I'm going to put 2.4 meters. So 2.4 meters on that one. Okay, and I think that's all of them. Let's see.